All right, folks, welcome to another Monday AMA. It's great to see everybody here, and I hope everybody had a great weekend. My weekend was very good, spent it with friends and family. The weather was great in Ireland for once, so we took full advantage of that. We've got Russell on with us tonight, and David and Albert Price, and the Oliver, Andreas, and the usual. And it's great to see the turnout. And tonight I was going to pretty much reel it back a little bit. One of the questions I kind of have to ask with the audience is, we make pretty big claims on our blockchain. We're very proud of our blockchain. We're very proud of the power, the security, the scalability, all those amazing things. But one question I have for the audience, does anybody know much about, one, our blockchain, and then two, blockchains in general, such as Bitcoin? That's kind of an open question for anybody here. Like, is there anybody here that would say that don't know all that much about blockchain and are looking to learn a little bit more about it?
I'd like to hear just
go
some
right
of the
into it, Trev.
basics. I'd like to hear some of the basics about the consensus protocol of the Tectum network versus, let's say, Bitcoin, because that's a pretty universal example.
Yeah. Like our consensus protocol is, well, basically I could start from the beginning here. So let me see if I can screen share. All right, so we've everybody can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
All right, well, obviously we're onto the Tectum website here, and if we go to blockchain, and a little bit of history about blockchain. What a lot of people don't realize that blockchain has been around since the 1980s. People sort of think that it was solely invented in 2008. There was kind of the latest version of a blockchain in 2008, whenever Bitcoin adapted blockchain technology, but that was just one component of many things that made it unique. But it was actually I think it was 82, whenever there was like a very, basic form of blockchain technology. And then as we got into the 90s, it became more sophisticated. It implemented cryptography for security and had a timestamp for security as well. And then it never really caught on. Blockchain never really caught on as much as it had promised during the 90s. Then, when the internet came in full swing during the dot-com bubble, blockchain still wasn't really utilized. There was a lot of people in the background that was creating a kind of digital currency that, they hoped worked, but a lot of them kind of failed. There was always some sort of failure that was involved. Then once we got to 2008, we all know the story. Satoshi Nakamoto invented the Bitcoin protocol. Whoever that entity is, they remained anonymous to this day. And that was the first kind of blockchain where people really started taking notice of the power of what it can do. Funny enough, Tectum blockchain, according to Alex, has got its origins right up to 2007. The first iterations of it can be traced back to around that time. And I think fundamentally, our Tectum blockchain, it's much more different. It's way different than any other blockchain out there. We would argue that our blockchain is utilized to the full extent of what a blockchain was meant to be in the first place, which is a distributed ledger protocol that keeps a record change of data. For Bitcoin, it is more storing the entire data in a blockchain, which is fine. It's a good way of making sure that your digital asset is mined properly. But we went down a different route, and we went down a route of where what we call hash drive technology comes in. And basically, we've got an algorithm, a pretty unique algorithm that keeps a record change, a ledger of all record changes that happen on our network. So it becomes an overlay network by design. And that overlay network can go on to pretty much any database. And if there is any movement in any of the data within that database, our algorithm will sense it out and hash a block that goes onto the blockchain, and it keeps a record in and keeps consensus. So the hash drive mechanism, it doesn't store the data onto the blocks. It just takes a hash of the data that's on a different level and puts the hash on the blockchain. This leaves that we've got high throughput. We've got lightweight, high volume applications that can be made from our ledger. And well and truly, the bread and butter is the blockchain. Without the blockchain, we couldn't make a transaction on of Bitcoin or Tether, or we wouldn't be able to create soft notes. We wouldn't be able to mint soft notes, move soft notes. So soft notes is really just an application of the blockchain. And it's our flagship product, and that's our full focus at the minute. But I thought I'd go back a little bit about the blockchain itself, because it's something that I think people would really find interesting to learn about. And the one application that we can do is the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is kind of like only kind of diehard people are really going down that avenue. But Internet of Things is very simple. Like, we could take hashes and put them on blocks of GPS coordinates, and you could have a fully automated drone doing its thing. For instance, there's farmers around here that use drone technology to look at the yields of a field, use infrared, but they're doing it manually. They're spending time every day doing it manually, whenever they can just have it completely automated through our blockchain. And that's a very simple, very, very simple application for the blockchain itself. And we claim 1 million transactions per second. Well and truly, it should be 1 million events per second, because when an event takes place, we can then make a hash of that event, and then the hash obviously is stored on the blockchain. And 1 million transactions a second is very easy, or events per second is very easy, because the way we've architected the blockchain. Because we're not storing large amounts of data, it becomes very fast and very, very frictionless. Like this page is on our website, and it goes through, you know, a very nice, easy way of understanding it. And in the finish up with our blockchain there, it's really all about the hashing. It's what creates the blocks. It's the trust layer of the entire blockchain, and that's what gives us our speed and security. If we go to the pitch deck, which is here a little bit further up, this is kind of the basic way in which a block is hashed. First, you've got a transaction, a block, verification, hash, and then execution. For an example of money, you know, if you want to send money from A to B, traditionally you would need a third-party individual to make sure that it takes place. But it leaves that, of course, there can be bad actors, there can be people that will front run, and it takes a lot of trust for that to happen. So a blockchain then becomes the ultimate source of truth. And you don't have to, you don't need a third party. All you need is a blockchain to facilitate a transaction. For instance, you know, if a transaction takes place, it is represented on a block, then it's broadcasted over our network, and our consensus protocol checks and verifies that, yes, this transaction is taking place and with its specific needs. We then approve, come to full consensus with our network protocol, and then the block is just simply added onto a chain, and then the money moves from point A to point B. It's a very simple enough process, but you need a very trustworthy blockchain in order for that to happen. And we are very, very, very proud of the fact that our blockchain is the fastest out there and the most secure. Most blockchains use proof of work. Proof of work is what the Bitcoin network is famous for, and in a way it kind of replicates the way gold in the real world is mined. It's got the similar type properties to that. Proof of work, instead of mining for gold in the real world, you're mining for a digital asset like Bitcoin using real complex computers. And it leaves that hardware. It's very, very hard on hardware. I'm not against proof of work in order to mine all the Bitcoins into existence. I do have a little bit of a problem with proof of work in order for once the Bitcoin is actually mined and in someone's hands, if they wanted to transact that Bitcoin from one wallet to another, it takes a tremendous amount of proof of work and energy in order to make that happen. Because of our blockchain, and we decided to to try and use Bitcoin and try and figure out a better solution. And we've got soft notes that are instant and free, but we've also got what we call faster and cheaper on a transaction, a blockchain transaction. And whenever Bitcoin is open source, so whenever our developers downloaded a Bitcoin node and looked at it and merged it, once we actually merged our Tectum node onto a Bitcoin node, we actually noticed that with our superconductive technology, we were able to make transactions faster and cheaper against the Bitcoin network. We've got it down to about 13 cents for a transaction. I think that's what it really is at the minute, ranging from 13 cents to 50 cents for a transaction. And one of the members actually reached out last week, and he said to me, like, I know a lot about Bitcoin, but what I can't understand is how we're able to make transactions cheaper than the Bitcoin network itself. And he thought we were taking a hit on every single transaction, which, you know, eventually you'll just go bankrupt doing it that way. And I simply said to him that, well, it's just that we've managed to use an open source bit of technology, merge it with our own technology, and in a sense made it more faster and cheaper. And he was absolutely amazed by that. And so proof of work for Bitcoin, it works, but it leaves that for transactions to work from A to B, it's very expensive, and it's going to get more expensive the more congestion that is on the network. We will not have that problem because of the unique technology we have. Our consensus is a unique proof of utility, and it's something that's it's hard enough for me to kind of explain there, but it's very simple in its own way. I mean, Tectum uses a proprietary proof of utility and super fast network protocol, and as I say, it's positioned as an overlay network. We can boost the circulation of all native cryptocurrencies, eliminating transaction fees, and you know, that moves on to the payment system known as Softnote, which, you know, can create the mass adoption side. The way it works is we've got a jury of 12 nodes, and basically one node does all the transactions while the other nodes verify that. And we've got what would you say, like a rating mechanism on the nodes, where if there is any bad actors, the other nodes would say, well, this is a bad actor, and straight away is kicked out of the network. And it's a very simple kind of algorithm, but very effective. And it leaves that out of the 12, everybody gets a chance to be a master node to verify them transactions, and they get rewards for that. So yeah, we imply a proof of utility consensus. That's a super fast network protocol as described in the white paper, and it optimizes data distribution. And the network protocol enables nodes to distribute and validate the million events per second, making us the fastest network. And then that'll kind of lead us onto the Softnotes itself. We all kind of know a good bit about it, and but with our pitch deck, this is the latest version there. I thought I'd just run through a couple of key points. The way the Softnote system works, everything, our hash drive mechanism keeps a record of the movement of a Softnote. Here you've got a Tron Softnote, and you've got a serial number up here. You've got the denomination on this side, a QR code, and then you have got on the bottom a Tron address or a Bitcoin address. Could be any address. That address, this leaves that we can do a transactionless payment that we call a handover that's off the blockchain. And it's done very simply. Like this wallet here, this wallet address is just 1,000 TRX. And if you go to this address on the Tron Explorer, that's the amount that you'll see on it. And so that there's our proof of assets or proof of funds. What our digital ledger keeps a record of is the serial number, the passcode, and the timestamp. So we take a hash of the passcode, a hash of the serial number, a hash of everything, and our algorithm will keep a record of where that digital note is on our network at all times. The only time that it'll change is whenever the passcode is entered onto our system. The passcode itself, we don't know. Our system will never know that. It'll generate the passcode for your eyes only, but will never keep a record. It'll never keep a record of the passcode itself. It's just a hash of the passcode. And the hash is kept on a record on a blockchain. So it leaves that's what leaves it very private and very anonymous. Like there's the actual information is not given out on our blockchain. It's just the hashes that represent the sources of information. And that's what makes our blockchain fundamentally different from others, because as I say, a lot of them store the information directly on the blockchain, and that's the information itself. The soft notes work very, very simple there. Step one is creating a Bitcoin wallet. And of course, that's the address there. That's where you get your link from the blockchain itself onto our soft note. Step two is the minting of a soft note. And obviously enough, any of our TED holders will be able to swap their tokens for X amount of minting licenses. Our Tectum node creates an event on the blockchain by recording the serial number, the denomination, the Bitcoin wallet onto the ledger. The soft node bill form factor is automatically selected and recorded on the database. So again, our ledger is just, our blockchain is just taking a digital ledger of serial numbers, denominations, Bitcoin addresses, timestamps in order to keep a record of where everything is at all times, but no one's information is going to be compromised. Step three then obviously is you've got a bill, but it's only got utility value. You need another beneficiary that is the liquidity provider. In this case, Bitcoin. The Bitcoin will be transferred to the Bitcoin wallet, assigned to the soft node bill of the liquidity provider's wallet. Again, you've got your address, and on that address is the liquidity that you see that is in the denominations here. Then obviously we release it into circulation. Liquidity provider can sell the soft node bill to the end user for its face value. For instance, half a Bitcoin at today's prices, you could sell it for that given price on our Telegram bot. And then the cycle, obviously the retailers, once it gets to the retailers, there's a small commission. So that's kind of this week's sort of short presentation of how we go back to kind of the basics of what the blockchain is. I'll just stop sharing a recording there, and yeah, so that's basically our blockchain, how it works, the hash drive mechanism, and how that is then implemented onto a soft node form. So one thing I forgot to do, sorry, along the way was, ask questions, stop every so often and ask if everybody was familiar with that. But we can open it up to any questions right now about anything that I've said.
Yeah, so I got a quick question. What is the limiting factor of Tectum speed? Because like Bitcoin, you have to have GPUs all over the face of the planet, basically mining to get their low 10s, 20s transaction per seconds. So is there a possibility for Tectum to increase its speed beyond 1.3 or 1.1 million transactions per second in the future?
Yes. Yes, 100% yes. The limiting factor to our blockchain is not our software. It's actually the hardware in which it runs on. So right now, we can easily claim 1 million events or transactions a second. At full throttle, we can do 1.3, 1.4. What we found last year, I think it was June of last year, whenever there was me and about 6 or 7 individuals that decided to record our testing. And we decided to use ordinary laptops, ordinary internet, but I had a real old laptop that was hotspotted on a really old phone that was satellite. It was satellite internet, and that became the limiting factor to 1 million. We also had a gentleman just down the road from me who had a hardline internet with a computer that had, like a very, very basic gaming chip. And of course, with the gaming chip and a direct line in internet, he could get easily 1.4 million. So the point that I'm making is the limiting factor is the hardware in which we run on. We have talked before about, going on in the future, having our own servers, customized servers, and everything customizable, so that enterprise level or institutional level people can ramp up that that throughput. But the reason why we pretty much stopped developing was we couldn't really find a use case in which at full throttle you'd just be going womp for a solid hour. So that was why we stopped development. We stopped development on the speed and then just started concentrating on the application side more so than the speed side. So simple answer is yes. Long answer is yes.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Andreas. Any other questions?
Hey, Trevor, this is Kevin. Going through the Telegram postings, it seems to me on some of the responses by you and others, I think, or David, I'm not sure who, is that for an investor like myself, is to increase the amount of return on investment somehow would be improved by minting Softnotes. Now, for myself, at least for a while, I would not have any ability to provide the liquidity of the Bitcoin or whatever underneath it. I mean, certainly I could mint the Softnotes off my Tectum tokens, but how would that help me make more money instead of just, if I can't provide liquidity and then route them to some way of them being used out in the retail place, say, how would that provide me more return on investment as opposed to just all I could do to start with, it seems to me, is to just sit on my Tectum tokens and hope they go up in value?
Right. So we're in talks with different liquidity providers, and kind of the ultimate meat for any of these institutions is the likes of MicroStrategy. I think it's ARC, another one there, Cathy Wood's ARC company. All these institutions, they've got Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and it's sitting on their balance sheet. And how would you say, they're denominated in fiat currency. The value is going up. So the value is going up in that sense, but they're not actually accumulating more Bitcoin. You know, it's just sitting on the balance sheet. I don't understand what their end goal is with that. You know, whether after a while it's a case of, you know, to sell it back into dollars or whatnot. I'm not sure how, you know, and they don't seem to really touch on that on the future side. They just basically say, buy Bitcoin, sit and hold for the future. With our Softnote system, we can give them the opportunity to bring in their liquidity, put it on a license, a Softnote license, your Softnote license, and then enter it into circulation to buy goods and services. Then all of a sudden, their balance sheet starts to grow. They're getting returns back in Bitcoins, and then their Bitcoin balance sheet is getting bigger and bigger. I think that's the ultimate goal, to get these institutions to come to us and provide liquidity for us, is the fact that they get a piece of the pie, license holders get a piece of the pie, and everybody kind of wins. It's a case. I think it's a case of once you get one institution to come in, provide liquidity, then it's just going to be a domino effect. In the beginning, we are going to have a formula integrated into each step along the way. So for yourself, that's a TET holder, we're going to know what the demand is for the liquidity provider versus the license holder. There's going to be a formula in that there, so that we've got a little bit of flux, a little bit of leeway to say that, okay, well, there's more demand in liquidity. Now we can issue out, now that formula is going to automatically issue out more demand for soft notes. At that stage, there's going to be a formula then as well to regulate, not regulate the price, but regulate demand between TET and soft note licenses. So it's kind of like it'll be like a closed loop thing if we can implement the formulas correctly. So basically, you'll have your TET tokens, and then there'll be an opportunity for you to swap them into a license, into minting bundles, and then out of that minting bundle, there will be demand from liquidity providers to fill those bundles. And like initially there is going to be, you know, it's going to be up pretty much, there's going to be a state of flux there for yourself that's got X amount of tokens, and you know, you'll get a sense of what to swap. It'll be your choice at the end of the day whether to swap it and then fill just the smaller denominals. I know the higher denominals will be very difficult there to fill, but the smaller denominals, they could be filled pretty quickly, and then just sort of get to the top, fill the liquidity on the top licenses, and then, you know, put that onto the open market, and then you know, play the game that way. That's one way of doing it. If that answers your question. I know I went on a bit of a tangent there, so I don't actually know if I properly answered your question or not.
I think in an earlier AMA, Mark said that he didn't think it would make sense for a liquidity provider to use my soft notes, but rather wouldn't that liquidity provider actually work better for him if he bought Tectum tokens and then did the minted soft notes himself and provide liquidity?
Well, they can. The simple answer is they can. I mean, they could do the whole process. You know, they could go get buy some TET tokens, change them into minting licenses, and then they get a bigger chunk of the pie. Instead of getting 20%, then they get 40%. So I think in that case, what Mark meant in the beginning, it's probably going to be a better incentive for people here, the early adopters, the early movers, to take full advantage of the fact that you know, we can be a liquidity provider and a minter at the same time. Whereas once demand kicks in, once mass adoption kicks in, then well and truly you'll just want to just swap as many of your TETs for licenses to get that passive income coming back in.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can just add to that, Trevor, I think what we're finding is, especially when we're speaking to the liquidity providers, is they've got a totally different appetite to those people that may mint. So they don't actually want, a lot of them don't want to go through the TET soft note cycle. They see themselves as holding an amount that they can invest, and they just want to go through the liquidity provision route. So I definitely think there will be that distinction between the two, and those that want to create the soft note packs and stick to that will quite easily find liquidity providers to fill them.
Yeah, perfect there. It's it really is pretty much people's thresholds. As I say, and you've alluded to that, Russell. You can get institutions with Bitcoin on their balance sheets, and all they want to do is just get their liquidity, put it into motion, and not really have to deal with buying TET, getting licenses and whatnot. It could be just an easy peasy way for them to do it.
Right, absolutely.
I think, as Russell mentioned, there's a lot of different kind of investment organizations, and some have fully integrated crypto capabilities. Others do not have a fully integrated capability, and I think that's probably going to be the way that they define whether they're going to actually mint soft notes and fill them with liquidity, or whether they're just going to put their crypto liquidity to work to gain passive income. So again, I think we're going to see how that all shakes out in the future. We're talking about something that hasn't quite happened yet, but as we get farther into this, after the exchange listings and all that, I think we're gonna start to see where different types of liquidity providers want to end up in the circulation cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Does that answer your question, Kevin, or anything you need us to touch up on?
Pretty well, I think. I'm still learning here, so I got maybe more novice type questions, it seems, but hopefully it helps other people too. How would the passive income be paid out? Would it be paid out in Bitcoin or dollars or Tectum tokens or what?
It'd be paid out in soft notes. So whatever, let's say you've the license for and the liquidity of Bitcoin, and if that bill itself enters the retailer and it collects a fee, then you get back the income in soft note form. And then obviously enough, with your soft notes, the income that you get, the passive income, you can then put them on the open market for cryptocurrency, or use soft notes for goods and services. Ultimately, we think that because soft notes is so it replicates cash properties as pretty much as fully replicated as we can think. We can't think of anything that soft notes can't do that cash can do today, with even more security involved with it. And the ultimate goal is for everybody just to use it as a medium of exchange. But you are always going to have the option. You can go on the open market and sell your soft note for any cryptocurrency, any stable coin, any cryptocurrency.
So I'm a little bit confused now. So the soft notes, the passive income would be paid in soft notes, but would those soft notes be with the liquidity within it of Bitcoin or something, or is it just kind of the briefcase without the funds in it?
No, you'll get it back and with the liquidity on it.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
But-
yes. So your soft notes go to the retailer. The retailer, then we take a cut from the retailer, And that denomination that we take back then goes back to you. It goes to, it's distributed out in denominals to everybody, but all your income that you get back is going to be full. It's going to be a fully liquefied soft note.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And then with that fully liquefied soft note, you can take that and then buy something with it, buy goods, buy services with it, or you can put it for an open order to sell on the market for cryptocurrency.
Or you could sell it for, USDT or something like that, whatever the exchange pair is going to end up being.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Also, Kevin, one of the things that you brought up was about, if you cannot provide the liquidity, obviously the institutions are going to wait to see how the rollout fares in the marketplace, and after that they're going to start wanting to get in, and so then you would have a real opportunity to sell TET or soft notes to those liquidity providers, and they're going to have to go to the exchanges to get that. So you'll be able to sell that to them if you choose to do so, and if you don't have any liquidity to put in.
Yeah, correct, Albert. It's as you said, Albert, there, it's early days. We kind of have to see how it plays out initially, because there's so much freedom, movement of freedom there to work on. We really don't know how it's going to be. It's going to be adapted. First of all, the quickest. Well, what people are most used to is buying a token on an exchange and then play the speculation game. That's fair enough. The speculation game is for everybody, but you'll only ever get a chance at getting in at a certain price, and after a while, it should be a case of the more licenses that you have, the more chance of passive income, instead of playing the speculation game, because you need to be kind of good at it. Sell high and buy in low, but everybody seems to do the opposite. Buy high and sell low.
Right, and banks are notoriously risk averse, and they are already well established in the fiat currency paradigm, and so it is going to take a certain amount of time for the banks to watch this and say, we've got to get into this. And banks don't want to speculate in anything because of the bank regulators that look at their books all the time. So my guess is that as they become more comfortable with the soft note concept, that's when they're going to start making moves. And I think that's when the demand for TET is going to really skyrocket on the exchanges. Once they start to make those decisions to get into it, then they're really going to put a lot of money and effort into it. That would be my guess.
Yeah. Anything else to add to that, Kevin?
Nope, still learning as this thing rolls out. I think I'm probably not unique among the few thousand investors that you have to wondering how do I translate the tokens that I have into helping to support the actual use of the soft notes, and what's our role in, whether we can only mint soft notes or we can mint soft notes and provide liquidity, and where do they go to, in terms of in the open market, and encouraging retailers to start using them. The whole ball of wax is, and then, how do we actually make from an investing standpoint, make passive income from that to maximize that. So there's a lot into it, and I think obviously it'll take time to learn best how it's going to play out for the big picture and us individual investors, right?
Exactly. And everybody is going to interpret what we're saying in their own kind of language, and they're going to have their own kind of unique perspective, and that's going to be the interesting bit. It's going to be to see how people, as the token rolls out, how many people is going to hold on to the token versus converting it into licenses, and so on and so forth. Like, people will have different strategies in which to work on, and even with ourselves, we don't truly know what the best option is. We can only just sort of start at the beginning, and once we see everything go in a certain direction, then we'll then have some data points to sort of think, that's interesting. And you're no further on in a sense than we are, or no further behind than we are. We don't truly know what's going to happen as well. We just are a little bit more entrenched into the details of it more so. But as things are rolling out and as things are progressing, we're going to keep everybody up to date on the ways you can do it, and not limit anybody to anything to it. So that's our kind of promise to everybody, is to make sure that we give the right information to everybody, and everybody gets a good chance at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've done with the system is, Trevor alluded to it earlier, we've integrated an element of flux. So if we're low on liquidity providers, we can lower the fees for liquidity providers so as to incentivize more liquidity. And likewise, we can do that for the soft notes. So we've devised this formula whereby your soft notes will always get filled within a 30-day rolling period. So it's not the case that you've spent your TET that's going up in value and now your soft notes aren't earning you anything. And we are being very retailer oriented, so as to create a big market for the soft notes first, and then incentivize liquidity providers and the minters. So we're just as committed as you are to keep up the value of your TET and your soft note licenses.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that, Russell.
Maybe a follow-up question comes to mind. Bear with me. So if I mint a soft note and somebody else provides the liquidity, and then who actually has the soft note? Is it the person that provides the liquidity now owns the soft note, but I get a cut of the action as it gets used? Is that right? Or how does that work? Meaning, maybe a question would be, could I mint a soft note and then somebody provides the liquidity behind it, within it, and then can that soft note just sit and do nothing somewhere, and then I don't get any passive income? I'm stuck.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant question. So it works with licenses. You own the minting license if you minted it. The liquidity provider owns the liquidity license if he provided the liquidity. And we've designed a very specific second option for soft notes for those who just want to store Bitcoin in a very safe medium, but they don't actually want to circulate it. So we do everything we can to ensure that your soft notes get out into the circulating environment so as to make you money.
Yeah, and it's the minting license holder has got the minting license rights, but the liquidity provider pretty much owns the soft note. It's their soft note to go out into circulation. The license holder has just got a peg to that for his minting license.
So going off that, Trevor, if I mint a soft note and then a liquidity provider other than myself provides the liquidity for it, and then later down the road, I decide I want to provide liquidity for that soft note, do I have the capability to remove their liquidity and replace it with my own, or how does that work?
No, unless, well, unless you burn the soft note. Once the liquidity is on it, that's the contract in it, and then it's entered into circulation. The whole idea is to, mint, provide liquidity, enter into circulation. So unless if you provided the liquidity and it's still in your possession, you could burn the soft note in a sense. There's a fee involved in that, but once it's burnt, then you can provide liquidity again. But then it's pointless if it's you that's doing that. Once you mint the bill, the liquidity provider provides liquidity, then you've only just got the license right to that bill.
Right, but there's absolutely nothing that stops you from putting liquidity on someone else's Softnote bill, and you'll earn the exact same amount of percentage. So it'd be 40% because you own 2 licenses, whether it was your own originally minted Softnote bill or one that somebody else minted.
True. Yeah, maybe that's what you're alluding to, Andreas, that at the beginning you'll have a license, but maybe not the liquidity. But maybe later on you'll have liquidity. And as Russell says, well, you can just add that liquidity onto someone else's license. It's the same thing, because your mint bill, your mint license is out in circulation, and then eventually your liquidity license is out in circulation, and they're going to be gathering up fees anyway.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
great question as well. Really good question.
Okay, I'm going to come back to a question that I don't know if I heard the answer to. Was if I'm in a soft note and somebody else provides liquidity, and then that soft note goes nowhere, I mean, it just sits, then I will have no more passive income and I'm stuck.
Well, yes, but so will the liquidity provider as well.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, if they just want to hold it and bury it in the ground for, like a cold wallet in a sense, to store it, the Bitcoin in the form of the soft note, then there will be no passive income for me as a software license owner because it's just buried in the ground, right? How do I make money then?
So yeah, Kevin, that's why I alluded to it a short while ago. We've created this other option that we've termed initially as Softnote X's for people who want to just store their finances. So that will be a Softnote that hasn't actually had a minter. It will be a Softnote provided by ourselves. They can't put it into circulation until they buy the minting rights, but they can store their liquidity on it if they just want to hold finance amounts and, let's say, hypothetically see their Bitcoin go up with the movement of Bitcoin. But why those investors will be drawn to the Softnote X's is because they can buy the minting and liquidity rights later. So it makes much more sense for them to use, rather than your Softnotes, the Softnote X's, which is what we're calling an enterprise or invest option, because they don't pay any fees initially. They can put their Bitcoin onto it, and at a later point, they can buy the license rights. So that stops them from going for your Softnotes.
And Kevin, kind of going based off what Russell said there, when we mint soft notes on our end, they'll be going into circulation. Now, the only reason why they would not be used then is just because they haven't caught on yet. But I know the team has a random generator that randomly picks soft notes throughout the users who have minted them for transactions. So as far as that goes, if you have a soft note in circulation, it will eventually be used. There's not going to be an algorithm that just uses some and not others.
Right.
Okay.
And something very interesting that we're looking at the moment is a benefit for spenders. So similar to, let's say, an Amex credit card, where you build up a score and you get benefits for spending a certain amount, to encourage people to use their soft notes, they will get a certain certain amount of return every time they spend a soft note. So that then again redirects those who just want to hold their soft notes in their wallet to the other pack, where you can save fees on it, but you're not using anybody else's minting license.
Yeah, very good, very good. How does that sound, Kevin?
So far, okay. I'll keep getting educated, and that's why I like attending these AMAs. I pick up a little something new each time, so thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Are you on the Telegram channel?
I am, and I read it every day.
As-
But you know, getting these kind of explanations are more broad explanations of the like last week was the change function. This week is kind of the minting side of things and how it works with liquidity. You know, I get more information here than the bits and pieces through the Telegram, but both are useful.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just you must be under a different alias on Telegram. I don't believe I see Kevin Patton on the Telegram channel there, but I'll keep a lookout for you in future.
Oh, I just don't ask questions. I read, but I'm
Right,
there.
right.
But I guess it sort of creates questions in my mind. As I say for the AMA, I don't typically post the questions.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah, very good. Any we're touching near an hour now. Any other questions from anybody? Checking in on everybody else. We've got a quiet enough audience tonight. And to touch up a little bit about the Telegram bot, hopefully by the end of this week, fingers crossed there, we can have good news about integrating the bot onto our Tectum wallet. That'll be the first major hurdle for the minting side, because obviously enough, the bot, we're going to have it that you can mint tokens with the bot, but unless it's bridged onto the wallet, you can't get your tokens onto the bot. So we're trying to get that bridge integrated. Once we get that bridge integrated on from the bot to the wallet, then we should be able to do the next stage in the minting process. So this is kind of the first stage to make that connection. The next stage is minting itself, and I think it's going to be in four categories itself. There's going to be minting, emit, burn, something else that I'm forgetting as well. But yeah, that's kind of the latest update on the bot side. We're still testing all the other features as well, but testing's going pretty well there. We've got a video. Andrew's working on a couple of videos, kind of like beginners videos for the bot as well, and we're slowly getting on to getting some of our resources onto rewording our website, our white papers, and making it just that little bit more easier and interactive to understand. So that's kind of the latest updates on the team side. And unless anybody's got any other questions on that, we can start wrapping it up. All right. So I guess that's it for this week. Look, I hope my talk on the blockchain wasn't didn't leave you more confused than you were at the beginning. I mean, look, Kevin, it's a learning process for me as well. Like every day I'm on this team. Like we speak to Alex, we speak to the team there, and edging a little bit more and a little bit more in our learning process. And I'm surrounded by it every day. And even there, like I kind of stumble in my head. I kind of got it structured pretty well there, but it can be difficult to sort of explain it in layman's terms, because everybody's got their own way of interpreting it and figuring it out. And I sort of try and do the best that I can there to explain it more simply. But you know, if it was helpful for people, great. If not, let me know. You know, please let me know if it added value or not, because that's the whole idea. The whole idea of this there is to just try and figure it out for everybody. So
I wanted to mention one of the concepts that I kind of use in my own mind about the difference between, let's say, Bitcoin's proof of work versus the hash drive technology that Tectum uses is, I've got a big picture, an oil painting, and somebody wants to see it. I can pay money to have it crated up and send it on a truck, which takes time and is expensive, or I can take a good picture of it and email it, which is almost instantaneous and it doesn't cost me anything. That's kind of the way I compare Bitcoin to the Tectum network. You're getting the same image, but it's fast and basically doesn't cost anything.
yeah,
Maybe that's more confusing than anything, but that's kind of the way I look at it.
yeah, it is a good way of explaining it. I mean, instead of ferrying the whole weight of the painting and the physical part of it there, you're just sort of streamlining the whole process by you know, taking a picture and emailing it. So it is a good analogy to explain it in sort of layman's terms. So but yeah, thanks for that. Thank you for that, Albert. Russell, you're on the chat there. You said maybe we should announce to next week on some of the routes.
Oh yeah, apologies. It was meant to be a message directly to Albert, but yeah, got an announcement for next week, just in development at the moment.
Right. Yeah, I seen it was to everybody there. I just wanted to make sure. But no, that sounds good. Well, yeah, look, we can wrap it up. And look, thanks everybody for jumping on. It was really good to get a good turnout again. And you know, stay tuned, keep in touch with our Telegram channels, and we'll chat to you next week. So
great job, guys.
Thanks all.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks, guys.
everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.